So what are your first impressions? What's going through your mind?
There's a few things that came through as well towards the end. There was a quote that just like came to me right at the end. It was not making people feel better, but making people perceive better. Yeah, and there's a few things about me speaking more than doing healing modalities, more of me speaking. Yeah, being a speaker.
Okay. I mean, you've got a great speaking voice. You've got a nice low tone. You know, you've got a voice that people listen to.
Yeah, I guess it's like I've known that there's going to be some type of path destined for me, but it's like, oh, is that too much of like, I guess I'm seeing it as being like a guru or some type of teacher, you know, and yeah, you know, it's like comes with that resistance of stepping into like the power and fully owning that, you know.
Sure. I understand exactly what you're talking about. You know, it reminds me of the story of the student that was with the guru, and the student said, "You're always saying there's absolutely no point in talking about God that we don't know, and we can never ever describe God because we have no perception of what God is." He said, "So why do you talk about God all of the time then?" And the guru said, "See that bird in the tree? Why does that bird sing all the time? It doesn't sing because it's got something to tell you. It sings because it's got a song to sing." And that's where we are. We don't necessarily have to be doing anything specific. The actual act of talking, you know, in the beginning was the word, and the word created. The act of talking is creation. And what I've discovered over the last couple of years, you know, when the pandemic started, I was told, you've got to start talking, and you're going to have to talk. And so I've talked for 2 years or whatever. And, you know, I never know what I'm going to talk about. It doesn't matter. People need that creation. They need that tone. They need that sound. You know, it keeps people alive.
Yeah. Because I guess, again, other people's perspectives and even like my business partner, they feel as though that we shouldn't be talking. It should be just more energetic based and healing based and doing it in embodiment work. And that knowledge isn't as helpful, and yeah, I tend to disagree with that. You know, I think it's that we need the both. And for me, it's been helpful to listen to people, you know, and obviously there's a transmission there of frequency in our words, but it's also just like a reassurance of what we're going through, and it's helped a lot for me to hear from others that what I'm experiencing is a good thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
To change the way I see certain things in the world. And
yeah. I think the word you've used, reassurance, is very powerful. You know, we do need a lot of reassurance these days. People need to be reassured because we're constantly bombarded with negative stuff, and so we need that reassurance. I look at, if you get a group of women that get together, I mean, I think women are very, very much more in touch than we are sometimes. And if you listen to the conversation, it's this stroking, soothing, healing, you know, and they all come away and they all feel much better because they've talked, you know. So there's something very powerful about the spoken word. Very powerful.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I'm I'm looking for that, you know, and if I'm feeling a certain way, it's like I just need someone to just tell me what I'm going through is part of the process, or to trust that it's happening for me. You know, it's just so simple, you know, but it's like that word of that spoken word, like you're saying, of someone telling me that is so soothing and allows me to open and think, oh, okay, like,
yeah,
this is okay.
Exactly. I think I mentioned it recently in one of the videos. I was saying we can put up with anything as long as we know that it's not forever. As long as we know it's going to be okay, we can put up with most things. And that's kind of certainly that's how I see my role. It's to let people know it's going to be okay, and it helps people to then get through the next chapter of whatever it is that they're going through, you know.
As well as, like, you know, what we tend to, like, some of us tend to want to rush the process, you know, and these things take time. Like a plant to grow, it needs to grow in its own time, you know. And if you were to throw it into a new pot, it's probably not ready enough for that large pot, you know. It needs to integrate before it can be able to handle the size of a pot like that. And
exactly,
you know, I get the little messages that come through if I hear from around my world that I'm around. Things do take time, and where I'm heading in maybe 5 or 10 years, that there's stepping stones that I'm going through now that are leading me not towards a month's time or even 6 months' time. It's more 5 years, 10 years down the track.
Yeah.
That there's certain things that are fated or destined, that we're being prepared for.
For sure. And I think as somebody was saying, or I read somewhere just the other day, you know, that if you want to really help people, you've got to have walked in their shoes a bit. You know, there's no point in trying to be a guru when you haven't lived those experiences. You know, it helps a lot. So yeah, I think we are pushed through experiences very much so that then we can then help other people to get through them as they're going through them.
I'm sure you've done a lot of in-between lives sessions and things like that, where you probably get a lot of pre-planned information, pre-birth things that come through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing a pattern, Jacob, and it's the pattern seems to be that there are two plans that we work. The first plan is these agreements that we have, these contracts, this karmic work that we have to do, and the first job is to get through that and free yourself of that karma, forgive that. Yeah. Some people don't, and unfortunately they have one plan for the rest of their life and then they have to come back and do the same one. But once we've got that one sorted, and I think that's why I'm so passionate about therapy, because that's part of the karmic forgiveness. You know, when you can forgive and let that go, that's you done. And then the second half is, what am I here to do? What's my purpose now? And I don't think we can fulfill our purpose properly until we've forgiven and we've finished our contracts. It's kind of what I see. And so it's kind of, that's why you get a lot of people who are, you know, they've lived a certain life, they've had the tough times, and then they get to a point and they go, right, I've got to sort this shit out because I don't know, I've got stuff to do. And the second half is realizing your own self, and that's supposed to be the best version of yourself.
Do you think that beginning, or that karmic loops and things like that, help shape us into more of our purpose?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Without those experiences, I don't think we can really, you know, it's kind of like, unless you've gone through I'll give you the experience of the ayahuasca experience that I had. The worst experience of my entire life, the most terrifying, horrific experience, was the best experience. It left me in such a good place. And I think this is why, the more intense the experience, I think the more zen you become afterwards. It's just the way that it leaves you. You lose a lot of all of the trappings and the stupidity that we have, that we come into this world with loads of stupidity about what's important, what's not important. You lose all of that. I think that's why it's done in that way. Like, right, get yourself sorted, get the shit sorted out, do your contract, learn your lessons, and then fly.
Yeah. I resonate with that. I agree, and I share that perspective. But obviously, when you're in the thick of it, you feel like, oh, this is terrible. I want it to go. I don't want to feel this, but
yeah,
and I still try and tell myself, I'm like, oh yeah, the worse it gets, it means it's like an arrow. It's just gonna get better. It means I'm going even further. The worse this gets for me, I've been through it many times. This heaviness or whatever I'm experiencing.
Yeah. I mean, I even look at the last 2 years, and and it's been awful. It's been absolutely awful. But when I look at what's come out of it, just personally, what's come out of my life, what I've achieved in 2 years, it's been exponential compared to what I was doing beforehand. So it's kind of like, even it's that the cliche of no pressure, no diamonds. But it's true. Is that without that pressure, really, we just wander around doing just doing the usual. It's only in
we need it.
The paper tiger thing. Have you heard me explain the paper tiger thing? That in one zoo, the monkeys were all like really getting depressed. They were just everything. They were fighting. They were depressed. Everything. And so they got a psychologist in, and the psychologist said, well, what the problem is that it's too safe. The environment's too safe for them. So what they did was, once every week, they would run this paper tiger past the bars. And the monkeys would go absolutely crazy. They would start jumping around, being terrified. They would start to form groups, form teams. They would protect one another. And it just gives them life. And that's why when stuff happens, when shit happens, I always think, this is my paper tiger. Appreciate it, because this is what's going to take you, the catalyst to take you to the next level.
Yeah. We need that, don't we, as humans?
Yeah.
We get caught up in the duality of being here, and we forget the higher purpose behind the pressures and the difficulties and the pain, the sadness, all of those other sides of the coin that need to exist in this world,
Yeah.
They need to exist, and they do create more of that pressure towards an evolution of our soul and growth, and it's ultimately why we come here. And
that's the whole point. The whole point. We complain bitterly about the bad bits, and we come here for the bad bits, because there aren't any bad bits on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly
right.
That's why we come here. I mean, it's a strange paradox, isn't it? That we come here and we complain all the time. It's like, oh, for God's sake, this is too hard.
It is. It's like, oh, can you just give a dog a break? Give me a break. Or poor me, the poor Jacob, why can't you just give me the relationship I want, or the money, the money I want, or whatever, that grand scheme of the illusion in our mind that we think is going to make us happy or fulfilled.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is something that I think I mentioned it in the hypnosis, but what's very clear to me now, Jacob, is that if we don't sort ourselves out, if we don't become the best version and become true, we must be true to ourselves. We get punished. Our unconscious mind punishes us by taking away our happiness. So it won't give us happiness if we are lying, because it's an honest part. It's a very honest part. So as we lie, it just removes our happiness. So, and what happens is, when we become true to ourselves and honest and sort the stuff out, it gives us happiness back, because it's innate. It just withdraws it, but then it lets us have it. And I think that's why so many people are unhappy, because so many people are living a fake life. you know, and when you live a fake life, you're not going to be happy. You're not allowed. And it's, you know, it's the same when you follow your purpose, when you truly are working in your bliss, the universe then gives you abundance. Like there's no stopping it.
Agreed.
Sounds easy, you know, easy to say.
It does sound, yeah, it's easy to say. Easy to say. It's all happening.
Yeah.
It's all this unfoldment.
Yeah, these are the best times that we are ever going to live. These are the best moments that we're ever going to experience, I believe. I mean, we're going to have bliss and beautiful times afterwards, but this is the one that we're going to be talking about. This is the one that people are going to be later on going to be sitting around the dinner table. Tell me, what was it like? We're going to have a world full of after dinner speakers. We're all going to be after dinner speakers. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about that, where we're heading. Yeah, as a collective. You know, I'm sure we both deep down know that there is some big, you know, direction we are heading towards in a higher consciousness, and yeah, it's interesting because, you know, obviously we're still in. It's like we're in the matrix and we're changing the matrix from within. It's like we're changing the program.
Yeah.
Of the way this game works.
Yeah. We are the savior. We are the saviors. We are the saviors of the peace. Yeah.
It's interesting because I've come to conclusions as well of the way, because I used to think, oh, there's all these bad things happening. And then I just started to really see the non-dual perspective of everything. And, you know, even towards the like elitists and things like that, you know, and certain things that we perceive as really being dark, like I kind of had this acceptance and just allowing of like, oh, it's all like a part of this game. Like it's all necessary. There's all different characters and roles that everyone's playing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a villain in the movie. You need the villain. You need those difficult characters.
Yeah.
You know, for the hero to emerge, and it's like they're just as important as we are.
Exactly. The hero's journey would be nothing without the beast, that, you know, the dragon that they've got to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't be a journey anymore, would it?
Yeah, and it wouldn't be anything enjoyable or noticeable from that breakthrough. It's like, what's the breakthrough without that thickness in the mud?
Yeah.
You know, what's being clean without being in the dirt? We wouldn't know what the contrast of that.
Exactly. And I know that's cliche and it annoys people. You know, some of the people who watch my, you know, because I call them the baddies, right? The baddies are the goodies, you know, and I do that on purpose because it takes all of the sting out of it, you know, the baddies, because that's their job, that's their role, that's what they, you know, when I talk to the emissaries, you know, and I say, oh God, this is happening. Oh, and they say, don't expect anything other than bad from the baddies, because that's their job. You know, why are you expecting them to do something else? That's what they do, you know, and they keep stop expecting something better.
Yeah, you almost see reason in what they're doing as well. It's like it almost makes sense to what they're doing, and it's like, oh, I can't understand why they would do that.
Yeah,
you know,
I take my hat off to them. I think sometimes I'm thinking, that is a fucking fantastic plan. That is, you've done a really good job there, by the way.
Yeah, you know, I see it in myself sometimes. You know, like it's like if I run like a share house, and I see like it's easier to have people in the share house that are conformed or even just like not as outspoken. You know, as long as it's easy to keep them in line, where if you've got like a couple people who are like out there and think for themselves type thing, it's harder to manage.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can see what they do this on a mass scale, and it's almost like mummy and daddy taking care of the children, in a way, in a cruel way.
Sure. Which is why they're so absolutely shitting themselves about what's happening with this great awakening. They don't have any tools. They don't have any tools. The only thing that they've got, their only tool is fear. Obviously, fear. It's always been fear, and so that's the only tool that they keep firing at us. Because we are the target now, not the sleeping people. They're not the target. They've got totally controlled. There's no problems there at all. Everything's going swimmingly. It's us. And we keep getting bigger. And so they have to keep lifting it up and giving us more fear. And so that's why lots of these projections that we get, I believe, like this is going to happen and they want to do this. And it all comes around Telegram and you go, oh my God. That's them. They're on purpose. Yeah. They are giving us that because they need to keep us in fear. And they're trying the hard. Yeah.
I think their number one weapon is our attention, really, and where our attention is being placed. I think that's where people get caught up, and they focus on agendas too much. Like, it's good to have awareness, but if you overly focus on that agenda, it's like we're manifesting that. We're creating energy. We're focusing on that, and where we focus, especially light workers or people that do have a higher manifestation rate, where we're putting our attention, we're creating. It's magic. Exactly. It's a ritual.
Yeah. They know that. They know how it works. I mean, they're masters at how it works. We are the ones who are learning it. We are the ones who have to get the very short course. They've been learning for centuries. We've just got to learn in the last few years. Like, if I think about it, I created. Okay, let's start thinking about some nice stuff.
It's like that, one of the old Batman films, I think it was Batman and Robin, and they have the Riddler in there with Jim Carrey. And he makes these television screens that puts everyone into hypnosis. You should watch it if you haven't seen it. And then everyone's got this plug on their television screen, and it's basically feeding off all their attention, and the Riddler's sitting back there and he's just feeding off everyone's energy that are watching this screen.
Right. Wow. What
like it's like he's picking up on all their subconscious beliefs and their thoughts, and that's, it was quite metaphorical. Yeah, one of an old school Batman movies.
Sure. Yeah, and of course, they do like to show us. They like to show us what they do, over and over again. They just keep saying, this is what we're doing. Yeah, we'll put it in the film. Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating. And in many ways, I feel a little bit sorry for the baddies, because the sense that I get is that they're losing so much traction. They had such a lot of power. I mean, we were in the Dark Ages, and they were the lords and masters. But it's kind of like they really are in panic mode and in this losing the traction that they had, and they're having to work at maximum. They are absolutely at maximum. I mean, they're pulling out all the stops. There's nothing that they're not throwing at us, And even so, people are still waking up. And what's fun about it is that I think they know this. When they push, which they've got to push because the time's running out, they wake up more people. But if they then stop pushing, then people start creating the future, So it's kind of like, oh my God, what we're going to do? The between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's exactly right. It's, another movie I seen was the Mortal Kombat, and it was these characters were trying to find their soul's arcana, and they couldn't. They trained, they practiced, and it wasn't until the enemies attacked them. It wasn't until they were about to die, or their loved ones were about to die, that their soul's arcana got birthed through that surrender.
Yeah.
And the one of the masters in the movie, I remember he said that he allowed it to happen. He knew that happening was going to crack open their true power. So he allowed it to happen.
It's really interesting that you talk about surrender, and it makes me think of a story. I I've studied a lot of Anthony DeMello's work, and he did this book on lots of little stories. And it was a story about a guy that went to hear the bells. That there was a city that had been immersed under the sea, and when the tide was up, they said that you could hear the bells tolling under the sea. And he went there, and he was sat on the beach, and he couldn't hear it. And he stayed there for like a month trying to hear it. In the end, he ran out of money, and he said, "Oh, fuck it, I'm going home." And so he made the decision to go home, and he just sat on the beach putting his stuff together, and suddenly he heard the bells, and it's kind of like this surrender of, all right, okay, it's finished now. And it's almost like that attachment, because he had an attachment to hearing it. When you let go of the attachment, suddenly you let go and everything can come in.
Yeah, very similar to that. It's like, I'm trying to get my power out, and then just letting go to the point where it pops out because it needs to.
Exactly. Try is to lie.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful. Yeah. Lots of paradoxes, lots of nice metaphors and stories.
Listen, I'm going to ask you a favor, because it's been a beautiful conversation, and I was wondering if you would allow me to chop the end off where we're just having a conversation and put it on my channel, because I think it'd be very, very motivational conversation for people. Yeah, are you okay with that?
I'm okay with that. Yeah, for sure.
Super. Obviously, anything personal, I won't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will get a lot out of it for sure.
Yeah, it was a beautiful conversation. Jacob, I'm going to leave you now because I think it's very late for you, and I'm going to go and do some other stuff.
Thank you.